Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to my channel. This is Randy, aka Fragrance Dude. I'm about to cut the shit and spit straight facts about 5 fragrances that I felt were overhyped. I received them in 2022 and I thought to myself, what was this hype all about? So without further ado, let's get it.
Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah.
Alright, so I'm back, and again in this video I'm going to be going over 5 different fragrances that I picked up here in 2022. 3 of them are new releases in 2022, and 2 of them are from prior to that. They were hyped up, not necessarily horribly hyped up, but they were hyped up enough to make me blind by them. And the thought that I got with all 5 of these when I bought them is, what was the hype for? And so I'm going to go over all 5 of them. Not necessarily are they bad. There are a few bad ones in this, but not necessarily are they bad. It's just I don't understand the hype, and not in a million years would I blind buy these ever again or recommend someone to blind buy them. So I'm going to get right into it, but before I do, please like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell for future notifications. Always helps out my channel. So the first one is actually the first fragrance in general I picked up in 2022. It was very early in January, and it is Bottled Oud. So I got it in like January 3rd or 4th, and what it was advertised as on social media, and it was hyped up. I had like 5 or 6 different reviews. That's how I know to blind buy something, is if I go through the main channels that I watch, and I don't watch them very often, but from time to time I do. When I go through the channels and all of them say you need to buy this, they were all saying this is the best beginner oud fragrance. It has that Boss Bottled DNA mixed with a little bit of oud. Pretty much that was all they were saying, is that beginner oud, Boss Bottled DNA, blah blah blah. If you know anything about my channel, I have the original Boss Bottled. I actually have 3 bottles of it because it's my wife's favorite fragrance, even though it doesn't last that long. I spray a bunch of sprays and it works. I have Boss Eau de Parfum, I had Boss Intense, and I have Boss Tonic, I have Boss Marine, I have all of them. I have a lot of different Boss fragrances, and Boss Bottled I've been wearing for 20 years, so I know what the DNA smells like. So I get it in the mail from FragranceNet, and I try it out. I did a video a couple months ago if you'd like to check that out. I don't really know how to do the info boxes yet, but it is one that as soon as I got it in and I sprayed it, there is little to no, maybe 5% of the Boss Bottled DNA, and I can hardly smell it. What you get from the fragrance is cloyingly sweet, dirty diaper full of rotting wood and old Indian food, and literally that's what I get. I again, if you like the fragrance, great, wear what you like, be happy, feel comfortable with yourself. But me, and it wasn't just me, if there's a thing called compliments, which I don't believe in the compliment factor. If there is something like a compliment, then there is a negative compliment. And I had more people tell me that I smelled bad, and I'm very hygienic, I'm clean, so it wasn't me. It smelled really bad on tester strip, on my skin. My one friend actually described it as this: if you go into the woods and after a rainstorm and you see one of those old rotted logs that has like that white mildew on it, and it's just like you could put your finger on it and it would turn into like almost like a liquid, that always gives off that real musty smell. You get that paired with a cloyingly sweet fragrance that has this oriental spice to it, which doesn't smell anything like oud would, or oud would should. It's just not very nice. So that's Boss Bottled Oud. To me, it just smelled really bad. It burned my nose, it gave me a headache. I would never recommend it to anybody, and for a beginner oud fragrance, I don't think that it's something that you should try. But again, if you already like it, then you like it. The second one gets a lot of hype from a lot of people, and it's Halloween Man X. There's a lot of people out there that do like this, but there's a lot of people that don't like it, just like me, and I don't understand the hype. I got this in as one of my first fragrances when I started my huge collection. I was already at about 20 bottles, but when I started branching out, I picked up Halloween Man X, and it is, again, I love sweet fragrances, and I'm going to use this word again, it's cloyingly sweet. They said there's supposed to be a fresh roasted coffee note. It's more like a synthetic version of roasted coffee if it sat in a coffee filter for a week. It's synthetic, it's generic, it doesn't smell very good, and for the price you're buying it for, $25 to $35, it smells like a $25 to $35 fragrance. And if I'm gonna buy a $25 to $35 fragrance, I want it to smell like a $75 fragrance. That's the way I look at it. I'm not gonna spend 25 bucks on a fragrance that smells like 25 bucks. Just not for me. So if I can explain this, is it smells like synthetic old coffee mixed with a gallon of liquid sweetener. That is what you get with some cinnamon, and the cinnamon smells good. But it's not a bad fragrance, it's so cloyingly sweet that I just can't get my nose around it. So that's Halloween Man X. I'll try it again at some point in time, but I returned that. I returned the Bottled Oud as well. The next three might get some hate back at me. I mean, all of these could, but again, just letting you know this is my recommendations, my personal experience with these fragrances. So the next one is one that I love and I hate, and so that is Bad Boy Cobalt. As you guys know, this was one of the hardest purchases I ever made. I took about 3 weeks after it was released. I wanted to buy it. I made a video about how I wanted to buy it, and then I bought it, and then I returned it. And so this fragrance is like Jekyll and Hyde. So in the opening, and a lot of people were hyping this up as it's a great fragrance, that dry down so unique, blah, blah, blah. And while I don't disagree with some of that statement, the Bad Boy Cobalt, the opening is fantastic. It has that sweet, fruity note, summery spring. It's really nice, comparable to like 1 Million Lucky, Coach for Men, those type of fragrances. It actually smells very similar to 1 Million Lucky at points in this fragrance. In about 20 minutes into the fragrance, it dries down and it turns into this earth. It smells like dirt. It's like a dirt with a hint of fruit in the background. And while it is nice at parts of it, and at points in time, that earthy tone dies down and the fruit comes back up, the woods come back up, and then it dies down again. And it's like a wave. And so I like the fragrance, then I hate it. Then I wait, do I like it? Do I hate it? Do I like it? I don't know. And so the fragrance is different, but it's not worth a blind buy, and I don't understand the hype behind a lot of what people were saying because it doesn't smell. There's a lot of better fragrances out there that do what this does great throughout the entire fragrance. For instance, 1 Million Lucky. So yeah, that's Bad Boy Cobalt. Not worth a blind buy, could be worth a pickup. I just don't feel it's worth the price for sure. The next one is one that, again, a lot of people on social media are hyping up, saying that it's fantastic. And it's not that this fragrance isn't good. It's a really good fragrance. But what it does and what it was released to do, it's just not doing well. So it's Polo Blue Parfum. I ordered it, I bought it, I reviewed it, I tried it out for a week and a half, I returned it, and I'm going to rebuy it at some point in time when it dies down in cost in like 6 months or whatnot. It smells like the original Polo with that sweet mandarin orange in the opening. But other than that, it's nothing. It's just a more modern version of the original. I still would pick Polo Deep Blue. I would pick Polo Gold Blend. This is probably third in the line. Gold Blend and Deep Blue are first, and then this, and then the original and the Eau de Parfum. But for a parfum to come out, and it doesn't last as long as the Eau de Parfum, the Deep Blue and the Gold Blend, it doesn't project as well. It projects really well for the first hour, but outside of that, it's not that great of a fragrance. It's just basic, and I don't understand when people are pushing this, why. It's not that great of a fragrance. So that's Polo Blue Parfum. It's just basic. It smells really nice in the opening, but when it gets to this dry down, It's where this earthy tones come in, the vetiver, patchouli, and it's kind of a bit, it's just not unique. It's just a basic spring and summer fragrance, nothing great. And then the last one on here is probably going to be the one I get the most hate for, or I could get the most agreements with, and that is from Givenchy, and it is Gentleman Reserve Privee. Fragrance is great. There's no denying this fragrance smells good. I'm not saying that. This video is about why was it hyped. And so I have 3 of these fragrances. I have the Parfum, I have the Eau de Toilette Intense, and I have the Boisé in a travel size. The other 2 I have full bottles. And I sprayed the Reserve Privee, and then I took it in the middle of my video, my first impression video. I went and I took that and my other 3 and put them on tester strips. And I gave them to my wife, and I gave them to my daughter. And I said, my daughter's a teenager now, so you guys can go by that. And so pretty much they said, can't tell much of a difference. And from a basic nose, which is the people I'm talking to here, and what the people that are reviewing these fragrances, 90% of the people they're talking to are people that are looking to buy a new fragrance, or that have 5 bottles and want to get a 6th. And so the fragrance Gentleman Reserve Privee smells like a mixture between Boisé and Parfum. That's the Eau de Parfum. It doesn't smell any different. I mean, there's subtle nuances in it, but the main channels are saying this is the best release of the year. This is literally the best fragrance out there. I'm gonna be recommending this, and it's gonna be #1 in my top 10s. Why? This entire line legit smells. If you have one, you don't need any more. They all are the same fragrance with very, very subtle nuances. I mean, Polo Blue that I was just talking about, that whole line smells very similar with subtle nuances. And people complain about that, about how the only 2 that have differences in them are the Gold Blend and the Deep Blue. Why don't you complain about the Gentleman line? Because the Gentleman line is, you got one that has chocolate, one that has a bit of booziness. Now you have one that has a bit of both. You have one, they all have powdery iris. I mean, they all smell the same. They're the iris fragrance with little baby bits of this and this. But if you're walking down the street, no one's gonna be able to tell the difference between you wearing the Eau de Toilette Intense and the Boisé or the Reserve Privee. They're not going to be able to. So that's just me. It's a good fragrance, and if I didn't own any of the other ones, it would probably be the one that I would pick up, because in the line with the subtle nuances, it probably has the best subtle nuances, but they all smell about 90% the same. That's it. It smells so similar to the Parfum or the Eau de Parfum. Why would you get it? It just doesn't make sense. Unless you're a collector, there's no need for the fragrance. All right, but I'm gonna stop rambling. I'm at like 15 minutes. But those are the 5: Boss Bottled Oud, Halloween Man X, Bad Boy Cobalt, Polo Blue Parfum, and Gentleman Reserve Privee. Let me know below any other ones that you want to do that you think are overhyped, and I'll be back with another one.